In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 NBA games happening on December 18, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Los Angeles Clippers versus Oklahoma City Thunder. The Los Angeles Clippers head to the Paycom Center to face the Oklahoma City Thunder on Thursday, and it is a rough spot on paper for the visitors already. The Clippers have ruled out James Harden, Derrick Jones Jr., and Bradley Beal, while the Thunder are missing Jalen Williams, Isaiah Hartenstein, and Nikola Topic. That is a lot of big names on the unavailable list, and it weighs a lot heavier on a Clippers team that has already struggled to string together anything consistent this season. Their form has been bad pretty much from the jump, and losing Harden now makes things even messier. The timing is brutal too. They have to go play a Thunder team that is coming into this matchup fresh off just their second loss of the season, so there is a strong chance Oklahoma City shows up a little annoyed and very focused. The spread looks ridiculously thick, and your first instinct might be to flinch at it. But then you look at what the Clippers have actually done. They keep stacking losses, and they are sitting at 8-18 against the spread. That is the profile of a team the market keeps trying to trust and keeps getting burned by. 3 wins since November 3rd is almost like a sad punchline, and now Harden is out as well. It feels like the group has already emotionally checked out, and the phrase complete poop show in Clipperland honestly does not feel that far off. Historically, this is not a team that is used to wearing the double-digit underdog tag. They have not been in that role since January, but even when they have caught big numbers, it has not exactly been a gold mine. They are 4-8 against the spread in their last 12 games as a double-digit dog, which does not inspire much confidence if you are trying to talk yourself into a surprise fight from them here. On the other side, the Thunder have every reason to treat this as a bounce-back spot. They just lost in the NBA Cup, and teams with that competitive chip often respond with a statement performance. They are 4-1 against the spread this month when laying double digits, which hints at a team that is not only winning, but covering when they are supposed to handle business. We have also seen this exact matchup tilt heavily in Oklahoma City's favor recently. The Thunder beat the Clippers by 19 points on the road a little over a month ago. If they can do that in Los Angeles, it is easy to picture them stretching their legs at home against a banged-up and seemingly disinterested Clippers group. The line was always going to be hefty with this setup, but it is not hard to imagine the Thunder jumping out early, running the floor, and never really letting the Clippers feel like they are in it. Unless Kawhi Leonard suddenly turns the clock back and absolutely carries the offense, Los Angeles just does not seem to have the firepower to hang for 4 quarters right now. As our first pick for this matchup, the Oklahoma City Thunder to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The total has finished over in 5 of Oklahoma City's last 7 games, which hints at a team that plays in environments where points come in bunches, whether from their own offense, their opponent, or a mix of both. When these two teams see each other, that pattern has held up more often than not. 6 of the last 9 matchups between Oklahoma City and Los Angeles have gone over the total. That is a decent sample that suggests their styles mesh into something a bit more free-flowing, even if one side looks shaky. The Clippers might have a hard time putting up a big number themselves against what is described as the NBA's best defense, especially without Harden. Their offensive rhythm has already been suspect, and taking another playmaker and scorer out of the mix does not exactly smooth things out. So, yes, there is a real chance they sputter for stretches. Even with that, the idea behind the over here leans heavily on what the Thunder can do. Oklahoma City is capable of scoring its share and then some, especially against a weak perimeter defense like the one Los Angeles brings to the table. If the Clippers struggle to keep the ball in front and give up clean looks from outside, Oklahoma City's shooting can punish them repeatedly. That kind of perimeter pressure can pile up points quickly, even in games where one side is struggling. So the basic big picture is this. The Clippers might not hold up their end of a balanced shootout, but the Thunder's ability to exploit that soft Los Angeles perimeter and knock down shots at a high rate can still drag the total over. A strong offensive night for Oklahoma City against a vulnerable defense is usually enough to tilt the scoreboard in favor of the higher number, even if the scoring is a bit one-sided at times. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Houston Rockets versus New Orleans Pelicans. Houston heads to the Smoothie King Center on Thursday night, and it is one of those spots where the situation matters almost as much as the numbers. You have the Rockets on the road again, still without Fred VanVleet and Dorian Finney-Smith, and Tari Eason sitting in that annoying questionable bucket. On the other side, the Pelicans are still missing DeJounte Murray, which is a big deal for their playmaking and perimeter defense, even if they have been learning to live with it. The Rockets have cooled off a bit, but that narrow loss to a red-hot Nuggets team says they are still playing at a high level, not just padding stats in easy games. They were competitive, they hung around, and for a team that already leans on pace and shot-making, that kind of effort on the road is encouraging. New Orleans, meanwhile, looks like it has finally strung together something that resembles momentum. 2 wins in a row over the Trail Blazers and the Bulls may not sound glamorous, and those are struggling teams, but winning is still better than figuring out what went wrong on film the next morning. Sometimes a team needs a soft part of the schedule to remember what it feels like to close games, and that seems to be where the Pelicans are right now. Houston is coming off that tough loss to Denver, and there is a clear pattern starting to form. 5 of their 7 losses have come away from home, which hints at a group that is still a bit different once it leaves its own building. The Pelicans, by contrast, are about as healthy as they have been all season outside of Murray, and they are riding those 2 straight wins with a little more confidence, the kind of "we finally figured something out" vibe. Against the spread, New Orleans has quietly turned into a pretty friendly team for bettors. They have covered in 8 of their last 10, and while they have only 5 actual wins, they sit at a profitable 15-10-2 against the spread on the season. That is the classic profile of a team the market kept underrating for a while, even as they kept hanging inside the number. The Pelicans have always had the talent. That much has never really been the issue. The question has been whether they could keep enough key pieces on the floor at the same time and put it together for long stretches. Right now, they look closer to that version, especially with a bit of rhythm and a supportive home crowd that tends to get loud when the games matter. The Rockets might still be the better team overall, and honestly, they probably should win this game on paper, but asking them to cover a bigger number on the road against a Pelicans team that is coming off its best week in a while and that is finally cashing tickets regularly starts to feel like a stretch. The points with New Orleans, as a home underdog that has been covering, are simply hard to ignore in this spot. As our first pick for this matchup, the New Orleans Pelicans to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Houston comes in averaging 120.9 points per game on 48.7% shooting, which is the profile of an offense that gets comfortable quickly when shots start falling. They are hitting 39.9% from 3 and 79% at the free throw line, which means they score from everywhere, and they do not waste many trips once they get fouled. Defensively, the Rockets allow 111.2 points on 46% shooting, and they hold opponents to 34.5% from deep while grabbing 48.7 rebounds per game. That kind of rebounding presence tends to keep possessions alive on one end and limit second chances on the other, but it also creates more transition chances when they clean the glass and run. More possessions, more open floor, more potential scoring. New Orleans, by comparison, is averaging 114.2 points on 46.1% shooting, which is solid, but they are giving up a hefty 122.9 points on 49.3% shooting. That defensive number jumps off the page a bit. It suggests that opponents are getting clean looks and finishing at a high rate, which is not ideal if you are trying to stay in low-scoring games. From the perimeter, the Pelicans are at 34.4% from beyond the arc and 78.4% from the free throw line. Respectable, but not elite. The more worrying part for totals is that they are allowing opponents to shoot 36.3% from deep while only pulling in 42.9 rebounds per game. That combination of weaker rebounding and looser perimeter defense can turn an ordinary game into a track meet if both sides start seeing the ball go through the net early. Put all of that together, and you get a matchup between a strong offensive team that shoots well and rebounds well and a Pelicans group that can score but often finds itself in high-scoring environments because of its defense. defense. In a setting like that, especially with Houston's offensive efficiency and New Orleans' tendency to give up points, it is very easy to see this game leaning toward a higher total rather than a grinded-out, half-court slugfest. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Toronto Raptors versus Milwaukee Bucks. The Toronto Raptors head into Fiserv Forum to face the Milwaukee Bucks on Thursday, and this matchup really feels like it revolves around who is actually available. The Raptors are still without Jacko Poeltl and RJ Barrett, which is not ideal, but at least their situation is fairly clear. The Bucks, on the other hand, have already ruled out Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they are listing Cole Anthony and Kyle Kuzma as questionable, so there is a real chance they are short on reliable scoring and playmaking. Toronto has not been anything close to its ceiling recently. They have been playing well below their best for stretches, but that win over the Heat was a reminder that when things click, they can still look sharp on both ends. Relative to this version of Milwaukee, the Raptors actually come off as the more stable side, even with their own absences. The Bucks might be walking into this one missing a big chunk of their usual firepower, and that is not the kind of problem that magically fixes itself on a random Thursday. Laying points with the Raptors on the road is not exactly thrilling, especially when you look at their recent performance against the number. They are 2-8 against the spread in their last 10 games, which is the sort of trend that usually scares people away from trusting them as favorites. If this were a neutral injury situation, that record alone might push you toward grabbing the home dog instead. Here is the catch, though. This handicap leans far more on how rough the Bucks look than on any overwhelming trust in Toronto. Milwaukee has been described as flat-out awful, and if they are not only struggling in general but also missing multiple rotation pieces on top of Antetokounmpo being out, it gets really hard to make a serious case for them. A team that is already leaking confidence rarely looks better when you start scratching more names off the lineup card. There is also a recent reminder of how badly this can go for the Bucks. A little over a month ago, the Raptors beat them by 28 points, and Antetokounmpo still played 24 minutes in that game. If they could be blown out that badly with their star on the floor, it does not exactly inspire optimism for a matchup where he is already ruled out and others may sit as well. So even though the Raptors' recent spread record makes you hesitate, the combination of Milwaukee's poor form, the injury cloud, and that recent blowout loss to this same opponent makes it pretty easy to understand the stance of wanting nothing to do with the Bucks here. Sometimes the sharper move is simply to avoid the side that keeps showing you red flags. As our first pick for this matchup, the Toronto Raptors to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Raptors' profile suggests a team that can contribute to a healthy final number. They are averaging 115.8 points per game on 48.4% shooting while allowing 113.9 points on 46.4% shooting. That combination of efficient offense and a defense that is solid but far from airtight usually creates a pretty friendly environment for scoring. From beyond the arc, Toronto is hitting 36.3% of its three-point attempts and 76.6% at the free throw line. They are holding opponents to 33.8% from deep and pulling down 44.1 rebounds per game. Those numbers hint at a team that can stretch the floor and still control the glass well enough to start breaks or create extra possessions, both of which help totals drift upward, especially if the game opens up as it goes. Milwaukee's side of the stat sheet tilts the same way. The Bucks are averaging 113.9 points on 49.1% shooting and allowing 117.7 points on 47.3% shooting. That is the classic profile of a team that scores efficiently but leaks points on the other end. When you have both offenses living in the mid-100s and both defenses giving up high shooting percentages, unders usually require a lot to go right at once. From three, the Bucks are hitting 40.4%, which is an elite mark, even if they are only connecting on 71.7% of their free throws. They are allowing 36.1% from deep and grabbing 39.4 rebounds per game. That weaker rebounding number suggests extra chances for the opponent, and the looser perimeter defense fits the script of more open looks from outside. Put that next to Toronto's efficiency, and you can easily imagine long stretches where both sides trade-made jumpers. Even if Milwaukee ends up missing some key names, a team that shoots that well from three can still generate quick bursts of scoring when the ball starts to swing and the right players get clean looks. On the other side, Toronto's offensive rhythm and size on the boards give them plenty of ways to keep the scoreboard moving, whether through transition, cuts, or kick-out threes. So when you blend the Raptors' scoring average and shooting splits with the Bucks' high offensive efficiency, weaker defense, and strong perimeter shooting, the overall picture leans toward a matchup that has enough offensive firepower and defensive cracks to push the total above the number rather than drag it down. It might not be a track meet from the opening tip, but the underlying stats point to a game where points add up steadily. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Detroit Pistons versus Dallas Mavericks. The Detroit Pistons head into the American Airlines Center to take on the Dallas Mavericks on Thursday, and this matchup feels like one where perception and reality might not fully match yet. The Mavericks have shown small flashes here and there, just enough to tease, but not enough to make you feel totally comfortable backing them against stronger opposition. On top of that, they are still juggling a long list of injuries, which keeps messing with their continuity and rotations. By contrast, the Pistons are presented as the healthier and more consistent side right now, which is not something you usually say lightly. They are listed as a profitable 15-11 against the spread this season, so they have at least been keeping games inside the number even when they are not dominating. Add in the fact that they beat the Mavericks by 12 points about 6 weeks ago, and you can see why it feels a bit easier to trust their recent body of work. Sometimes a team just matches up well, and that prior result is not going to be far from anyone's mind. Detroit comes in with a full squad available, which is a luxury in this league. Dallas, on the other hand, has ruled out Kyrie Irving, Derek Lively, and Dante Exum, while Brandon Williams, D'Angelo Russell, and Anthony Davis are all listed as questionable. That is a lot of uncertainty packed into one locker room, and it makes it harder to forecast who is actually on the floor in crunch time. The Mavericks were playing some very good basketball before that overtime loss to the Jazz in their last outing, so it is not like they are hopeless. Still, the possibility of being without Anthony Davis again in this context is mentioned as another concern, and it tilts the reliability scale away from them. With the line sitting short, the argument naturally leans toward the side that seems steadier and healthier on paper. The Pistons have been framed as one of the more consistent teams this season, largely because of Cade Cunningham's influence, and he is set up here as the kind of player who can step into this spot and have a big game. When you combine a healthier roster, recent success against this same opponent, and a clear primary creator who has been carrying a heavy load effectively, it becomes easier to side with Detroit in a relatively tight spread rather than gamble on an injury-riddled Mavericks squad figuring things out on the fly. As our first pick for this matchup, the Detroit Pistons to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The numbers for Detroit suggest a team that can absolutely fill it up offensively. The Pistons are averaging 119.4 points per game on 48.5% shooting while allowing 113 points on 44.7% shooting. Offensively, that is a strong line, and defensively it describes a group that is not locking teams up, but is not completely falling apart either. From deep, Detroit is shooting 35.6% from three-point range and 74.8% at the foul line. They allow opponents to hit 35.7% from beyond the arc and are pulling down 46.2 rebounds per game. That rebounding total suggests they can end defensive possessions and generate second chances on the other end, which can subtly shape how many scoring opportunities both teams get without necessarily turning the game into a high-flying track meet. On the Dallas side, the stat line in the text reads that the Mavericks are averaging 112.9 points on 6.1% shooting and allowing 116.9 points on 46.3% shooting. The shooting figure is obviously odd, but keeping strictly to what is written, that combination still paints the picture of a team that is giving up more points than it scores on average. They are listed as shooting 34.1% from three-point range and 75.2% from the free throw line. Defensively, they are allowing 33.5% shooting from deep and pulling in 44.2 rebounds per game. Taken together as presented, you have one team with a very productive offense and another that, at least on paper here, allows more than it scores and leans on shooting that is not truly elite from outside. With the injuries mentioned for Dallas and the idea of short-handed lineups, it is reasonable to imagine stretches where their offense bogs down a bit, even if they find ways to compete. If the Pistons control the tempo more often, leaning on their main creator and not turning this into a chaotic, up-and-down game, that can naturally steer things toward a slightly more controlled scoring environment. The combination of Detroit's ability to score efficiently, their solid rebounding presence, and the notion of an injury-weakened Mavericks side that may struggle to keep up possession by possession can nudge this matchup toward a total that lands under rather than exploding into a pure shootout. It does not mean there will not be runs or hot stretches, but the overall shape can still fit an under if scoring comes in measured bursts rather than non-stop fireworks. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.